Do you like my Spurs hat?
Not as much as I like that sweatshirt.
You like that? You like the pink sweatshirt? Isn't it cute?
Only gangsters wear pink.
It's all. I'm also wearing black Adidas track pants and Adidas, uh, just flats. I think you want to call them just like your Adidas flats.
Oh, baby, you are just ready.
God bless Jonathan Davis from Corn.
You
Um,
are, you are ready, baby.
Hello, and thank you very much for downloading this most recent episode of Movie Guys Podcast. You can download many more episodes at movieguyspodcast.podbean.com.
well, we have a movie that we are finally reviewing that was nominated for Film of the Year, right? No, Oppenheimer. This is the second one we reviewed.
We did Barbie
Right.
as well.
Barbie was last season.
Okay.
I'm talking about this season. We're talking about the Holdovers. Eric, you've seen this a few weeks prior. It's available on Peacock, and you're like, yeah, big guy, we got to put this on the schedule. I've had a busy week. Just came back from vacation. So last night, Saturday night, prior to this recording, I decided to turn this on at 9 o'clock. Took me all the way to 11:30. Eric, how the hell you doing?
Excited to talk about this one. I feel like this is one of those classic movies that we don't get to see anymore. This is a good case of what Hollywood is missing. That we're going for a lot more adaptations from comic books, from reboots, right? For just I don't know, musicals. We're getting movies right that are being made of musicals from movies from music. Yeah, these weird nostalgia and just kind of circle of movie grab type things, but very few times we get to see something that's a bit original. That's something that's character driven, that's a low budget, and I'm happy to review something like this.
Now, during the Oscars, they were talking about when they were introducing. So I don't know if you got a chance to watch the end of it, but when they had like best actors, best actress, they would have past winners come out and say something nice about the person that's being nominated, right?
Right.
And whoever it was talking about Paul Giamatti being nominated for Actor of the Year. He was saying something about his lazy eye. So correct me if I'm wrong, but did Paul Giamatti put a special contact in his eye to make his character have that look, right? Was something about a contact,
Yeah. He
or was that a talent?
Paul Giamatti does not have. I don't know. I don't think it's a talent like how Bill Skarsgård can do that, because that would be crappy to do it the entire movie.
Right.
I thought this was a contact, or if it was, I can look it up.
Because we were talking something about because I kept on watching his eye during this movie because they were talking about it at the Oscars.
Here,
You know,
I'll do a lazy eye.
I'm just kind of curious on that because
Custom contact lenses.
it was okay. So it made it look like his eye was, but it
Yeah,
wasn't.
and it certainly looked. Yeah,
Gotcha. So yeah, we're talking about the Holdovers. I feel you and I may
$13
nerd
million
out.
budget here.
Yeah. We may nerd out. I don't know how we're going to feel about it. Um, but this movie takes place 1970. One thing right off the bat, whoever did the costume design, God, I hope they won costume design or whatever for the year because this looked like the 70s. The hair, the skinny boys. There was not a plump boy in this place. They were all skinny, wearing looked like they were fresh off the set of Dazed and Confused, wearing the belt bottoms.
This
Like
felt
I was
very
impressed.
much like in the period. It was fantastic. Even from the opening of the movie, where they did the old school Miramax and Focus feature credits.
I noticed that. Yeah,
Even the Universal. Yeah, I thought it was just tastefully
Gina
done. It was good.
Gina made a comment. She said, "I thought you guys were watching a new movie. This movie came out in the '70s. Like, I mean, it was that good. It looked like it was, 100% from 1970."
Yeah, it seemed
Yeah.
authentic. It really did.
But we follow Paul Giamatti. I don't know what his name is in the movie. You know I'm bad at character names.
Uh,
Uh,
Paul Hunnam.
so Paul Giamatti's playing Paul, and he is not a professor, but he's a teacher at an all boys private high
He's a
school.
professor.
He's a professor. I thought professors when you get your doctorate.
Classics professor at Barton Academy.
Okay. So Barton Academy is this all boys, not a high school because there's younger kids there too, right? So this is like
So just private school.
it's a private school. They have sports there. They have everything there. And these are supposed to be the young minds that are going to go to Princeton and Yale and Brown and all these Ivy League schools. This is their startup to get. And Paul Giamatti is, in my opinion, well, not my opinion, but right off the bat, he is a jerk. He's a jerk throughout this whole movie because I feel like he feels that he has failed the kids because they're all jerks and their parents are jerks too. Would
Yeah.
you agree?
Yeah, he's a strict teacher who is built on academics, that thinks that education is king and the key to the future for these young boys. And he's starting to have, I guess, doubts, right? Because he's starting to see that, well, in this new age, some of these kids can just buy their grades rather than actually study and pass.
Right. So it's the Christmas season. There's going to be 2 weeks where everybody is out, and Paul Giamatti, straight out of The Shining, he is caretaker for 2 weeks. There's an axe, but don't pay attention.
Yep.
Right.
The title of the movie, by the way, is he's babysitting the holdovers who don't get to go on
Right.
vacation.
Right. Kids, and every kid had a story, right? So there was the main kid, which I don't know what his name is.
Angus.
Angus, I should know that. But you have Angus, you have Sunshine. When I call him Sunshine because he has the long blonde hair and he's a quarterback for the
Yeah,
football team.
that's right.
So he's Sunshine. I don't care what his name is. His name's Sunshine. Then you have douchebag Madouche, the other longer blonde haired kid.
I don't think it was blonde, but Teddy.
Oh, that guy was terrible. Then you have these two younger kids, probably younger than freshmen, right?
The
Maybe
Mormon and the
grade.
Korean, yeah.
The Mormon and the Korean. And all of them have a story about why they're not there. Teddy, I want to talk about Teddy. His excuse why he's not going for Christmas is because his dad's moving boxes or something and it's in his room.
Right.
And I was like, well, that's an excuse. And they straight up call it out that that's an excuse.
Yes.
Sunshine, his dad is a wealthy helicopter, probably from the Kellett and Wine Mixer guy, right?
Yep.
And he's just like, I don't go home because I don't cut my hair.
Yeah, there was
That's his reason.
Yeah, exactly. He thought his dad would cave because he's a big old softy.
Yes. The Korean kid is because, well, he's Korean and his parents are, I mean, happy in America there, like ain't going to help you on that one,
Yeah, he
They're
said
not
it
gonna
was
try.
too expensive for whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Right. The Mormon kid was because his parents were on mission, right? They
Yeah.
were, and it's, you can't. So, but then Angus, the main guy, this one broke my heart. So he calls his mom, and she's just like, "Hey, honey, we're not coming to get you. Your new stepdad and I are going on vacation, and you're just gonna have to stay there." And when he was swearing at his mom on the phone, begging and pleading with her on the phone, that broke my heart. I was like, I could actually feel what that guy was saying. It was like, please come get me. And they're like, nah, like you're just not important to us.
Yeah, yeah. They do paint a pretty good picture of this family life, really, without doing a whole the big reveal. They give you little pieces
Mm-hmm.
over and over again, and you can tell that this kid really does not have a good family.
No, and Paul Giamatti says later in the film that he's a smart kid. He may not be a genius, but he's a smart kid. I don't know. Like this kid seems pretty intelligent. Like some of his one-liners he gets, he attacks everybody. This guy, Angus, is a jerk. Like he calls everybody out.
He's acting out, and yeah, it does show. They give you hints in detail, like when Paul Hunnam was giving the grades back before the break, and damn near every student got a D or less on their grades, bombing their exam, except for Angus, who got a B plus. So it showed that he does have the knowledge for it. He does have the intelligence for that, but again, there's no guidance anywhere. There's no love in his life. So what's the point?
Right. And then he made a comment that this is the third school he's been to. And if he gets kicked out again, he's going to a military school. And this is right about what? Vietnam, the middle of Vietnam, right? So then he made a comment after military school. You all know where I'm going after that.
Yeah.
Right. So then we meet an unlikely character that we would follow in these kind of movies. We meet the head cook, the chef. What was her name?
Mary.
Mary. And her son was a student there, but Mary didn't have money to send him to Ivy League school, so he joined the military and he was killed in Vietnam. I have a question.
Yeah.
So before all the students leave for winter break, and they're all at a church. Is this a Catholic school? This isn't a religious school, is it? Because also a lot of these parents can't afford these kids to go here. So what is this?
It seems more or less, but oftentimes private schools have some coding of religion, or they teach world religions. It may not be completely a Christian academy. It could just be very much a private academy, but a lot of times there is faith, especially in this time period as well, where it seems like a lot of it is God oriented. If this school was, they did not put it front and center.
No, I was just curious, yeah, because they had the priest doing his thing and whatnot, and I was like, "Oh, so it's a Catholic school?"
Yeah, but oftentimes for private schools, they would have, they have their own private chapel.
Gotcha. Okay, I've never been. So then we find out why Paul is being left over in charge. This is his punishment. So the dean or the head mister or the principal, I would call it, right? The dude in charge who used
The
to
schoolmaster, dean, yeah,
he used to be a student there,
headmaster.
and our main character Paul used to teach him. And now this dean is in charge of the school. And Paul's being punished and he has to stay over. Why is Paul being punished? Because he said he did a piece about somebody?
The headmaster is punishing him because he failed a very affluent student whose parents donated a gymnasium, right? And they're very very wealthy, and blah blah blah. And the Paul was just like, well, no, I failed him because he's dumb, because he didn't get the grades. And the headmaster was saying, right, but this is politics. I agree with you, but then there's this donation type of thing. And Paul was very kind of steady on his stance there to say, but that doesn't do anything. The reward already is that he's at the school. He's receiving top-notch education here. That's not on me if they choose to not receive that education, if they choose to just screw off and do something else with it. They're not here for us to babysit, and so they can just cash a check and move on, so he can become a senator and something else. It's just we have a responsibility at the school, and that's why I failed him. And the headmaster said, right, well, we want the money, and this is a political move, so this is your way to get in line here.
Right, and this was like the dean probably would tell the kids' parents, "Hey, we punished him. He has to watch other people." So this is the crux of the movie, right? This is people that don't want to get along have to 7 strangers pick to live in a house. Nice.
Yeah, sure.
Right, and they all have to get along. They don't. Teddy and Angus get into a fight right off the bat. Teddy's a complete jerk. He throws a kid's glove. Oh, and the kid can't find it, the Mormon kid, right? But all of a sudden, Sunshine's like, "Hey, my dad has a helicopter company, or my dad does whatever. There's helicopters for." And we hear a helicopter, right? And then and they're like, "Hey, you can go with Sunshine and his awesome helicopter with his dad and spend the holidays with them, but you have to get your parents' permission first.
Yep.
The Korean kid got permission, and Angus couldn't get a hold of his mom.
Which goes to show, yeah, exactly how bad his relationship, Angus's parents are, his relationship with the parents are, with his mom and stepdad.
Mm-hmm. So this movie, I always like to pay attention to what's going on in the background. That's always been kind of my thing, right? Like directors like to hide things in the background, in my opinion. And one thing that I've always noticed in the beginning of the movie, and it got more prominent as the movie started, is Paul likes his Jim Beam.
He sure does.
Man, he was drinking a lot of that
He was
all
drinking
day.
a lot. Yeah,
He was alcoholic.
absolutely.
Yeah, and he has some skeletons that we'll talk about, but he's straight up drinking. Can I say in the middle of the movie, this really pissed me off. Him and Angus were fighting, and they go into a convenience store, and it was like a bottle of Jim Beam, and the guy's like $2, and I was like $2.
Yeah, you believe that, man? Yeah, jeez.
I was like, oh my god. Um, but that's his vice, right? So he drinks all day until he passes out. That's what he does. Nothing else, right?
That's his escape. That's his cope. I think because we find out later on, right, just kind of what he's escaping from.
Mm-hmm. Which is, I feel, a really big part of the movie we'll talk about. So Angus already doesn't like Paul. Paul doesn't really care for Angus.
Well, especially because
Right.
Paul is giving them homework and stuff over the break.
You see, now I'm torn, right? Because if this was your local school, yeah, sure. But this is like supposed to be like a prestigious, fancy school that's thousands of dollars and 70s money to go there. Like, hey, you're going to study over break, right? Or not? Like, Paul's a jerk, but he's also an educator. He's that educator that pushes you that you don't like, but makes you better.
Listen, I've had a teacher like him before, and so it actually kind of looked like him too. Actually, uh, this is kind of a round toad of a man, but it kind of hit a little home for me. But the same part, yeah, he does so. Has this strict regimen just because he believes that it makes the person better.
Which I don't disagree with. Pushes them, right?
Oh, I'm sure that even the headmaster doesn't disagree with it, but the same part, he's in here because his failure to identify a large contribution that the school needs, because the school doesn't run on good faith, the school runs on money.
Or
And
tax dollars.
yeah, so yeah, and Paul kind of took the food out of the mouth in there, or jeopardized it rather. So I get it. He's very old school.
So speaking of old school, this movie doesn't really talk about it, but we are talking about 1970s America and separation with race. My question, the reason I'm bringing this up is Mary makes dinner, and she presents it to the group. Right, this is before all the kids leave to go on the helicopter ride. And Paul says, Would you care to join us, Mary?" And she kind of looks at everybody, and like that one Teddy kid's like, "Hell no," kind of look.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "No, I'm okay." Like, do you think that is a race thing in this movie, or do you think they look down on her simply because she's a cook?
I think that's a
Or
mix.
does it matter?
That's got to be a mix, because with privileged boys like that, listen, we've been to schools before. We know how harsh some of the language can be, and how just crazy racist some of these things could get. That Korean kid would have gotten it hard in this school, especially at this time during a Vietnam War. Yeah, it would have happened. But this was more, I think, a classist thing where she's the help, she's the cook. I think he made the comment. Teddy made the comment where was it Teddy, or maybe it was Angus, that said that, oh well, she's paid to do a job, so she should be doing it well, right?
Teddy said that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that was more of a class thing, where Paul, really, you start to see a bit more how lonely this man is, and he's wanting some other adult to be in the room because he doesn't want to be with
Mhm.
these kids all the time. I think that's what that grasp was.
Okay, I was just curious because I don't think there was racism in this movie at all. I was just kind of curious about what your thoughts were. So I was leaning towards more of a class thing because these kids are so rich and pompous. They don't care about race. They care about if you are helping or not, kind of thing. You know what I
No, I don't
mean?
think any racial thing was needed to be said. I think
No.
you kind of already knew from the times that if you're not, if you're not white in this part of America, it's a harder road for you.
I was reading, kind of go into the behind the scenes. I was reading in IMDb that they filmed this at an actual private school during February break in Massachusetts, and the script called for snow, and it was filmed during a snowstorm.
Well,
And
authenticity there.
right, not one location is a set. Everything is real life locations.
Again, it looked great. Everything
Yeah,
about this movie really took me there. It really felt even the house party.
yeah. The house party that was. I want to talk about that, but before I talk about that, I want to talk about the hospital scene, which made me giggle because that was a whole funny scene leading up to it, and then knowing that this was like no sets, that hospital has seen better days. My
Yeah,
God,
no kid.
right?
So we're at the part
Well,
where all the kids except for Angus get to leave on the ski trip. Angus has to stay behind because he can't get a hold of his parents.
right, and then Angus just he's lashing out. He's upset. You know, he's playing cat and mouse literally with Paul. Uh,
He's
get a
stuck, yeah.
got a funny thing about the donation with the gym and how they're like resurfacing the gym. And he's like, "Don't you go on that gym floor? Don't you go on that gym floor?" And he runs to the gym floor and he does like a trapeze thing, and he lands on a mat. And the actor is hilarious the way he portrayed it because he lands on a trapeze mat and he immediately sits up and he's just screaming this ridiculous scream, like this ridiculous like in a spoof, like in a comedy bit. And then the next scene cuts to him in the backseat of a car with a what I'm assuming was a broken wrist or a hand. We'll find a later dislocated shoulder. But the way he was screaming was hilarious. And they go to a hospital, and this is where we find out something about Angus. The guy, not only in real life, is an actor. In this movie, his character's an actor,
Yeah.
right? Because the doctor was like, "I need you to fill out some insurance paperwork." He's like, "No, this is my real dad. We were playing hockey. I fell. Please, my mom can't know. Please, that kind of thing." Right,
Really sells the con there. Sells the lie.
right, right. Was it just me when the doctor said, "Well, nothing's broke, but your shoulder's dislocated"? We could see the bone kind of protruding from like with the skin, right? They're like, "Your shoulder's dislocated. We're going to have to pop it back in place." Was it just me, or did you think of Martin Riggs and Lethal Weapon for this as well?
No, I thought of myself because I've dislocated my shoulder before. I've been in
Yeah,
that position,
it
so
hurts.
it does not feel good. Especially, well, here's the thing is that when they first pop it back in, it it hurts for a second, but then it's instant relief.
Hmm.
At least it was for me, and it
It
still
did when I
continues to
first.
be because it's obviously it dangles all the nerves are just kind of there, but then it clicks back in and you're just like oh, and it's just sore. It feels like you're wearing a bruise, if that's
Right.
a good way to put that. But how they did it was that's rough.
1970 style. Like the nurse had like a towel or
Double
a sheet
sling
wrapped
there,
around her leg,
yeah.
and then he did it. They just pulled him, kind of like two horses would like pull somebody to stretch. And I was like, slam his shoulder against the wall. Come on.
Got to be delicate, right? But
Right.
yeah, that was it was a pretty good scene there, and obviously they went through they bonded something over something extreme, and then after that they go to the
They
restaurant.
go to the bar. They go to a restaurant and they run into what, like the dean's secretary or somebody?
The headmaster's assistant. Was it
Is it
Lydia?
Anne? Lydia? Okay. Well, Paul runs into her while Angus goes to the restroom. Now, okay, I'm not going to defend Angus a lot for the first half of the movie, right? But I'm going to defend Angus on this one, right? Angus just walks out of the bathroom. He sees a dude playing pinball, right? And he
Sure.
puts a nickel down. excuse me, I had to sneeze there.
Yeah,
But he
bless you.
puts a thank you. But he puts a nickel down innocently, right? And the guy's just like, my other buddy's gonna play. And Angus was like, dude, I put my nickel down. There's another nickel here. And there was a huge like scuffle. And he found out the other dude was a vet.
Yeah,
And right. So then
disabled vet.
Angus, yeah, so he was like, oh, whatever. And then they start getting into their scuffle or whatever, and Paul Giamatti buys these guys rounds of beers,
Yeah.
right? And this is where they get invited to Lydia's house party. And Paul Giamatti kind of has an eye, if you will, pun intended, for Lydia.
Well, I think at first it was a harmless kind of a flirt, but he's not going to do anything. It was Angus
Uh,
is the one that said, "Whoo, there is some tension between you two."
right, but I think Paul knew that as well. I mean, like,
But he lives in
yeah,
he's cynical about everything. He's so pessimistic that he's just like it's a fantasy for him. He's just like, "Oh, well, it would be nice. Of course, I think I like her. She seems attractive, but no, no, it's too good to be true kind of a thing." And I think he just kind of you know, doesn't get sold on it. Even when in the beginning when we saw that she made him cookies.
yeah, right. So I'm going to talk about this. So they go because I have a question. So they go to the house party, very nice house party. I love the basement. I
Yeah.
love, right? And then Angus gets set up with Lydia's niece, not her
Uh,
daughter,
no, it was the niece Elise.
the niece Elise. So this is Lydia's niece, right?
Yes.
And she's around Angus's age, and she's just like, "Oh, look at all these young kids in the basement doing stupid young kid things." And Angus is like, "Oh my god, I don't want to do this." Right? They finger paint, and she calls him out. I like women like that, right? Where she's just like, "Are you trying to look down my shirt?" He's like, "No, yes." I'm just like, good play, man. And like they flirt a little bit and they kiss. And then speaking of flirting, we go back upstairs and Paul and Lydia are talking and maybe hitting it off and maybe flirting. We don't know what's going on. And all of a sudden a dude walks into the party and it's her boyfriend. I'm assuming her boyfriend.
Yep.
So was she naive? So here's my question. Is she naive or is she playing? Right? Because she bakes some cookies, she invites him over, she's very flirtatious, or she just naive.
I no, I don't think it's any of that. I think she's just a very friendly person that maybe she's enjoys Paul's company because he is very smart, and maybe she likes being around someone like that. It's someone different, maybe that she's not used to, and she just enjoys that. But I don't think if you were to go back and rewatch it, I don't think there's anything hard that says, "Hey, I'm interested," rather than it just being maybe some looks. But again, she's very friendly and she's just kind of being like that. I don't. That's open. It definitely, as the viewer watching, you definitely kind of get that. And then when Angus says it as well too, you will really think like, "Oh, okay, this is a flirt." Right.
Which is why I'm saying in my thesis of this movie is that this is what turns Paul. This is what destroys him. Because
Oh,
he turns
absolutely.
around, he sees her kissing her boyfriend or husband, and he turns right back around instantly, and he just has this dead look on his face. And his character does not come back. He is not a pompous jerk anymore throughout the rest of this movie after that shot.
Well, I think doesn't he make a remark later on to Angus that says something just like, I'm aware how this world works. It doesn't work for certain people in their favor." In one of his monologues, right,
Mm-hmm.
where is just like, people like me don't have it like some people like you. People at this school are given the privilege. They're born into the privilege. Other people like myself, have to do this and do that to get it, and we still get Frank Grimes in our way in our life there, and it's he makes a good point of it that there's just like it's not necessarily a woe is me, but maybe just a
The
complete
facts.
yeah, exactly, like just a harsh, realistic awareness of what he is.
Yeah, because we get more, right? So this is the scene that I'm talking about. They go to like a liquor store, get $2 Jim Beam, And then also another thing too is that Angus they get in the car and then Angus says, "You smell like fish."
Yeah, and then he says that it's a condition.
It's a condition that he has. When he says he smells like fish, my first thought was this kid doesn't realize that this guy's a drunk and that he just smells like that because of the booze. But no, he has like a sweat gland condition or something to where he smells.
Yeah, it says it gets worse at the end of the day. You're missing at the party. We can go back to that because at this time, after Angus
Oh
and
yeah.
Elise kind of have a little moment, which by the way, their chemistry was great. That young kind of infatuation where you try to look, but you don't want to get caught looking. I thought it was very good how they did that. Anyway, they have to leave early because Mary, who also had come to the party, uh, and then Danny, the groundskeeper, the janitor as well too, came, who obviously has an interest in Mary, but
Uh,
Mary was getting bombed and took control of the music, and then Angus pulls Paul away after his heart got kind of ripped out there. They go into the kitchen, and Mary is not in a good way.
yeah, because this is her first Christmas without her son.
Yeah, the grieving kind of falls all at once into this area where she lets it out, and yeah, it was a good scene. It really was. I don't know if this was the award winning scene for her because honestly, she won.
Oh, she won.
She won Best Supporting Actress,
Oh, did
which
she?
yeah she did. And as much as I enjoyed her in this movie, it didn't. There wasn't any one particular scene that stood out to being like, oh yeah, that was it. Where it is something like remember in remember the movie Precious, novel by Sapphire,
Yeah. So
where where
I'm gonna.
where Monique won Best Supporting Actress. After there was a scene in that where it was with her, Precious, Gabrielle Sidibe, and Mariah Carey, where she was revealing about what her husband and what her father did to her. After she did that scene, that was a huge scene, and I was like, she's gonna win the award, flat out. I can't pick a one scene out of this where I'm just like, oh, Divine Joy Randolph is her name, the actress's name. I can't think of one where just like, oh, that's gonna win her the award.
Yeah, I would agree with you because I'm looking it up here about the Oscars, and I since you brought it up, I have to say it. My wife goes, "Oh, I've seen this actress before. Isn't that?" I was like, It's not Precious, Jane. It's not. It's not. I actually disagree with her winning on this one because the one that I think that was nominated that should have won was Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer.
Oh
I
yeah.
thought she. I thought her scene. And after this, we'll go back to the movie. I don't want to, but we talked about it in our Oppenheimer review. The scene where she's like kind of small and meek, if you will, in the interrogating scene, right? Emily Blunt, all of a sudden, she kind of looks at Oppenheimer and then snaps and becomes a strong, awesome female. Like that was the scene for her. I feel that that scene was better than anything that Joy Randolph did. I mean, she was good in this movie. I'm not saying she's not, but I don't know. I think Emily Blunt probably would have been better.
No, I agree. Again, I think the actress did a fantastic job in the role that she was given. I don't think that the role was worthy of an Oscar as well. I thought it would have been well more deserved for Paul Giamatti to win Best Actor.
Yeah, was the kid playing Angus? And no, see, the kid in playing Angus wasn't even nominated for Best Supporting Actor. He should have won Best Supporting. Um,
For
by the
first
way,
timers don't often
oh,
get
see, a first
nominated.
timer.
Yeah, first timers don't often go get nominated or let alone win as well too.
Can I ask? May I ask one question, and then
Mhm.
we'll go back on topic here. Am I missing the mark? Was Barbie that good of a movie? I was just looking up, and America Ferrera was nominated for as Best Supporting Actress.
That
Like, was
movie
the movie was that good? I thought it was just looking at it from a silly point of view, like a Napoleon Dynamite, if you will.
No, I think ever since the Marvel wave happened, that the Academy has to acknowledge the high budget earners, the movies that make 1 billion.
Oh, did Barbie make a bill?
I think globally,
Okay.
but like they had to put Black Panther: Wakanda Forever in the kind of the category as well. They have to nominate these big budget because it's hard to ignore when you have 10 nominations and the majority of America is just like, I've never heard of these movies. What, I don't even know what these things are. Like I know Black Panther. I know these billion-dollar movies. I don't know these movies. But then there are others that are just completely political grabs, like Maestro with
Yeah, the
Bradley
Bradley Cooper.
Cooper, where I'm glad that didn't win a damn thing. And Barbie, there won for best song, so it did win an award. Albeit you've oh, save me from this, Jordan, so I don't rant off about.
Yeah. Well, we'll go back. We'll go back on topic. I was just curious. That could be a later episode. So this is where we find out, going back to Holdovers, this is where we can find out more about Paul's character. And this is where I said his character changes when the whole she kisses the guy.
Yeah.
Boyfriend. So now this is where Angus is like, I want to go to Boston. He's been saying throughout the whole movie at this point, I want to go to Boston. I want to go to Boston. I want to go to Boston. And Paul's like, we're not going. It ain't happening. And then Mary's the one to give him the idea. She was like, it could be a field trip. And she wants to go to Boston anyway because doesn't her sister live like in the city or in the outskirts of the city or
Correct.
something?
In Roxbury.
Yeah. So they all make a field trip to Boston. I'm not a city.
Do you have a Boston accent?
Hey, everybody, let's go to Boston.
Yeah, close enough. I was going to say St. Patrick's Day, right? You got to do.
Well, I am one of those really, really, really American Irish guys that, I can look good in the hat.
There you go. Yeah, you're one day to listen to Dropkick Murphy. Okay.
Yeah. But anywho, I'm not a city guy, right? Like I don't like the city life, but they pull into Boston to drop off Mary, and it's this like 6-story house. And the only way up this house is by these wooden steps in the middle of winter. Like, I was just thinking about moving furniture. Like, how does this happen? Is this a thing? Like, or am I just crazy? Like, this is a thing.
I'm sure that's just the easier access up there. It could be the only one, but I would imagine that there's an inside access of it as well, too.
I'm just wondering, because I was like, oh, gosh. But her sister, of course, lives on the very, very top level. And her sister's pregnant. And this is where we get another actually good scene with Mary, where she starts to, I'm going to say, donate her baby clothes to her son that's passed in war to her sister. Those are very good, touching scenes, too.
Yes. I think that was
That was her letting go.
Yeah, it was her healing a bit. Just not necessarily accepting, but yeah. Her time to move on and know that she has a life, that there's new life coming into her family as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So she has her moment, and this is where Angus and Paul go around the town of Boston. Right? They go. Let's see. They go to an ice skating rink, but no, they go to other places, kind of like in Montauk.
They go to the museum.
They go to the museum.
They see him. Yeah.
Talk about pornography and art, and
it was more of a historical part of it too. Yeah, and how did they talk a bit more? Just really, they go to the outdoor bookstore where Paul gets propositioned for a date.
And Angus pushes him on. He's like, "Go for the date, man." And he's just like, "No," because she goes up for a cigarette first. She's like, "You want a cigarette? Do you have a cigarette?" "No, I have a pipe."
Yeah, she really tries hard. But where we learn a little bit more that, or at least Angus learns more, that Paul had a life before all this. That it's not just this stern instructor that he knows. That Paul was young before. Paul probably was rambunctious before, and was it his the fire in his loins, I think is what he says.
Yeah, because Angus makes a comment. Angus says, "Are you still a virgin?" I'm actually holding on to that question. I don't know. Paul never, when Paul tells us the truth about his past in a few scenes from now, he never brings up a woman. He just says that this one woman and I were getting close, but nothing happened. So it's like he doesn't.
I don't think he's lying. Barton men don't lie. But
Barton men don't lie. Well, fair enough.
I think he just says that he prefers he's lived that life, and now he prefers this other life, this life of solitude, this the life of a monk. I think is what he said, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's what he likes. He said, well, at the beginning of the movie, that you guys are not happy about this, and neither am I. I could be spending my 2 weeks vacation reading mystery novels or something like that.
And I don't know if it's a jaded thing of why he does that, but that's kind of what I get out of it. He is a rock, he's an island, right?
Well, I know why, right? Because Angus goes ice skating, right? And no, what they go bowling too.
They do bowling, and you get that scene a bit more where Angus is teaching him how to bowl. They have the eye scene where
Mhm.
where Angus says, which eye is it? And uh, Paul says, yeah, I'm not gonna tell you that. It's for you to keep that mystery.
What kind of bowling is that? I figured you would know because you like disc golf.
That's
You like it.
that's 9-pin.
Okay, so it's like it's a ball. You don't put your fingers in. You just grip the thing.
It's like a cannonball. So oftentimes you can call that bar bowling too. A lot of times bars would have that like in a half lane, but that's 9-pin no touch. You ever played
Okay.
9-pin no touch?
Never knew they existed until this movie.
So it's a bit more lenient on the rules where if you knock down 9 pins instead of 10, it counts as a strike. If you knocked out all 10, that's also a strike as well too.
There's 9 pins.
No, there's 10 pins.
Oh, but they call it 9-pin.
9-pin no touch. Well, you know what? There might be 9 pins in this part too. I think some bowling alleys with 10 pins might do 9-pin no touch rules. But that's I don't know the official rules on it, but that's what it's called.
Okay, all right, yeah. And then Paul Giamatti has this fun little moment where he's talking to a drunken Santa, and he's smoking his pipe, and then this is where they go ice skating too, right? And then this is the scene, right? This is where we're gonna know stuff, right? So Angus gets done ice skating, and then they're going up the stairs, and Paul runs into an old school chum, right? A guy from Barton, right?
From
No,
Harvard.
guy from Harvard. And he was like, "Is everything all right? Doing great." And then again, going back to the beginning of the film with the hospital thing, right? Angus automatically lies. It says, "I'm his nephew. He's writing a book," because he's been pushing him to write a book. And Paul just lies and said that he travels abroad and he does these things. And I never understood
It's a monograph.
why he was why he was lying and saying that he wasn't at Barton, because it seems like Barton would be a place that a teacher would like to be, right?
Yes.
Like, why is he lying? Why is he lying? And this is the truth. And this is kind of like the scene. This moment for me is kind of like early this year when we reviewed Planes, Trains, and Automobiles with the ending with John Candy when he reveals. It's kind of like that snap moment where it's like, oh. So I'm going to probably murder this, but this is what I got from the movie. Paul Giamatti went to Barton. He was at Barton, and then he goes to Harvard.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets into an argument because his roommate or a classmate says that he plagiarized his paper.
Right.
And this was a very rich kid below Paul's status, if you will. And they get into an argument.
Paul's status.
Above, sorry. And then Paul, he didn't really elaborate, but he says that he accidentally hit him with his car.
Yes.
So
yes.
I'm assuming he did not accidentally hit him with his car.
No.
He was trying to kill him.
Well, I think, yeah, maybe not kill him, but he was acting.
Maim.
I think it was just one of those emotional responses where you don't think and you're just thinking, all right, opportunity presents itself. I have a car. The dude's right there. It was his fault. He didn't jump out of the way.
I actually believe the story. I don't believe that Paul plagiarized. I believe that he was a good-hearted guy, that nothing really bad happened to him, right? And this kid lied and said he did something, and he didn't know how to react to it.
Well, that's what the story was. Is that Paul was accused of plagiarism, but it was actually the other kid who plagiarized Paul. But
Okay.
because that kid was a legacy donor's son, that the money speaks louder. So it was
Mhm.
his word over Paul's, and yeah, that's what happened.
Right. Which I believe that part of the story. Like I believe that this kid plagiarized off of Paul.
Yeah.
I mean, like, this is what made me feel for Paul. This sums up his whole character. This is why he's so jaded. This is why he doesn't want to be around women or people. This is why he's so hard on other people, right? Because he was innocent and naive and got taken advantage of. And
Well, again, you're just feel for the guy because he's down on his luck. He just has a lot of bad things that happen to him, and it's not like he could do a whole lot about it. These other kids, these other people have money, and money talks, and the only thing that he could do was rely on his intelligence, on his passion for history and being an instructor. And so he fell back on that, and he just chose to, after that, close the door on society and just
right.
be
And
this be this hermit instead.
he never graduated from Harvard. That's why I was questioning you when at the beginning of the episode, because it says that he's a professor. I was under the interpretation that in order to be a professor, you have to have a doctorate.
Sure.
So he didn't graduate from Harvard. He was a dropout, and he says he didn't say he went to another school. He said he dropped out and he went back to Barden, and he was able to teach.
That's right.
So he just because he was a Barden grad and because of his knowledge, the dean previous to Jerk Dean was like, "Yeah, I'll give you a job as a history teacher." Right? Pretty much.
Yeah, he was obviously uh, made friends with whatever instructor there to get that. Yeah.
Right. So this sums it up. Another thing that sums up characters is they go to a movie the next day, and we're under the impression as the audience that Angus's dad is dead. Right? It was told to us that he was dead. Right? Or am I making that up?
No, that's he says.
He says his dad's dead, but he said he wants to see his dad. So I'm thinking they're
And then I
going
think
to the
Mary had also said that his dad was dead too. Come on, it's Christmas.
yeah. So Paul's thinking he's going to a cemetery, but no, they go to a psych ward, and his dad is a psycho. His dad's schizophrenic.
Yes.
Angus's dad is nuts. Of course, me being a movie guy, hence the name of our show. I kept on thinking when the dad and said was talking, hey, if you just exchange notebooks and if you read it hard enough, you can go back in time and change the events of this. You
There's a
proud of me on that one?
butterfly effect there.
You proud of me on that one?
That was a good grab there.
You like that? So we find out that that Angus's life is kind of screwed up because his mom is divorced the dad who went psycho. We don't know really why he went crazy. They don't really say.
It just said that he started to lose it, like he had little cracks that started to happen, and they put him on medication, which made it worse. And when it got worse, it got violent.
Mm.
Blah blah blah. Fast forward to this, and we get to see. Oh, this is all after when they were in the theater, right? And Angus
Yeah, they're at the
ditches
theater. Yeah, yeah.
to try to do it. By the way, they were watching Little Big Man, which I thought is a fantastic movie.
And Gina asks, she goes, "What movie is that?" And I go, "Dances with Wolves."
Oh no, that's Little Big Man. That's
I know.
oh, I get you. The original Forrest Gump right there.
Bone Tomahawk, Tombstone.
Yeah, but we
Oh,
get
yeah.
to hear a bit more that again, like his dad is completely unstable. That he's been moved around for a few different hospitals, right?
Nobody will take.
And he's afraid that it's hereditary, that he will become like his father as well
Mhm.
too. And we have this nice moment in the restaurant when the last night in Boston, where Paul says, you know, no one is like their dad. You know, I'm proof of that.
Right.
Yeah, and meet up with Mary. They get the
The cherry
cherry
bourbon.
jubilee or whatever.
That was hilarious. That was a good scene, right? So the waitress was like, "Oh, he can't have it because he's not of age," and they're like, "Okay, can we just get ice cream and cherries to go?" And
Yeah,
they make it themselves to catch it on fire. And this is where the big middle finger happens, right? Which it makes me mad, Eric, because this scene in the movie is so our reality. It's nauseating. So you think everything's going to be good, right? Maybe a Breakfast Club kind of thing, to where hey, we had this moment. We'll say hi in the hallways. We're not friends.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe moment, right?
Yeah.
No, 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 no. Angus's mom and stepdad show up, go right to the dean, and is like, "Hey, Angus gave his dad this snow globe. They were there. We got to talk to the teacher." And the teacher, straight up, Paul was like, "Yeah, he should be with his dad on Christmas. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
F you."
I
Right.
took him. Yeah, it was a hard scene because the detail was that his mom and stepdad have been blowing him off for their selfish endeavors, and that the only time they show up is when something inconvenienced them.
Right. Right. That's such a real life. I mean, this thing is so real life at this scene. Like, this happens,
And I think
right?
I think Paul realized that. I think he realized that, oh, geez, you guys showed up for this. You guys didn't show up on Christmas. You guys didn't do this or help him any other way, but you show up for this, and that's when he decided to take the stand, I think.
Well, he also calls him out too. He says, "I couldn't get a hold of you. You are unreachable."
Yeah.
Like, he would make comments like this, and the dad, like the jerk off '80s Wall Street dad, right? The stepdad was inserting his dominance by standing up in his seat and it's going, "Do you know what you have done?" And the mom's like, "You have inconvenienced us, and we have to move the dad and all these things." And it's like, oh my god, Paul gets fired.
Yeah.
Paul gets fired. Angus can stay. That's what it is. And it's like, in reality, Paul shouldn't have been fired, but for the character, for the movie, he needed to be fired. Right.
Oh, yeah. He fell on the sword, and he did so nobly. Yeah. I think that the headmaster, was looking for a reason to fire him. Well, right, because to quote Angus, right, everyone hates you, right? Nobody likes you at the school.
He says it too to Angus as well.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's kind of like their bonding right there, where they both know that they're outcast. They're both
Right.
the most hated, and yeah, yeah. But I think Paul knew that, and he's accepted a long time ago. And again, he was just that was his life. He accepted that this was his a while ago, but as the movie progresses, we know that he didn't want this life. He just was pigeonholed into this life because he hates people. He gives them a chance and they disappoint him every time, or they backstab him, and he got it again by people of privilege with money. This is what, like the third time maybe, the people with money who have really just outdone him.
They
And
won again.
yeah, they win again. And at this point, I think he learned a lesson that it's just like, I can't let these people win because
Right.
they put me in this position, and I think it's time for me to go live my life.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a scene. It's a very small scene. It's a small moment for my personal life, but it kind of brought me back to that. So Angus goes up to Paul while he packs up the U-Haul, and there's a quick moment that it just stuck to me where they're talking, and then Paul presents his hand to Angus, and they shake each other's hands, and they have like kind of like that lock eye thing, right? The reason why I remember that from a personal life was because I was eighth grade, and there was a basketball coach, and I played basketball, and he started me, and he was just a hell of a nice guy, and everybody liked this guy. And he got a better job being a head coach at another school somewhere far, right? And we liked each other, right? That kind of teacher student relationship,
Hmm.
And we had that moment where he's like, I will never forget it. He was just like, "Jordan, I gotta go." And he presented his hand and he shook my hand. We had that kind of Angus Paul moment where you look at each other in the eyes, kind of like that man, like, "I'm gonna cry, but I'm not," kind of thing. And goes off into the distance, right?
Yeah.
And that brought back to my memory. So We go off, and the greatest metaphor ever for this movie. Paul's a drinker throughout the whole movie. Paul's been eyeballing this a very expensive or cheap whiskey or bourbon,
It's a
whatever
very
the
expensive
dean.
cognac.
He steals it from the dean, takes a big gulp, switches it around, and spits it out into the driveway when he pulls out.
Yeah.
That's a metaphor right there.
What do you think it means?
He's spitting on Barden. I think he's done. I feel that he is going to go write his book, maybe, or possibly go find another school. But I don't know if he can. He doesn't have a license, right? But he's been teaching for 20 some years. So
yeah, I'm sure that he probably has a pretty fine letter of reference and resume, but again, he's getting to that age where maybe retirement seems to be up there as well too.
he may retire, yeah. But he was spitting on Barden, saying,
Yeah,
I wash my hands of you. I'm done.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
why I took. Is that what you took it
Oh
as?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's a thing that when he was talking to the headmaster, where he was really just saying that our goal here is to make these boys better, is to make sure they go out into world with the knowledge of that Barton can give them, and the morals that we can teach them. And I think it was a very good moment that here's a guy who struggled saying that to his headmaster that this is what he wanted to do with the class, and he was unable to do that. He felt like it was a disconnect in all these classes with all these students that he's had for so long. But his last act was that he was able to do it for one boy.
Yeah.
It was very touching, and you can tell that Tate, not excuse me, Tate Donovan is the actor. That Angus is maybe doesn't say it outright, but I think he knows that this is as close as as to maybe the disobedience that or the obedience that he needed from a father figure. That and he'll take that. I hope he doesn't forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, you don't get the maybe a full closure, but you get enough.
You get the end of the chapter for Paul. I mean, this is mostly Paul's story than Angus' story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So we're going to get into our popcorn ratings, and we know that the fans nominate. I'm sorry, not nominate. We do, but the fans vote for our Movie Guys Awards. I think we both like this movie, but Eric, if the rule always states that if you give a movie at large and I give a movie at large, it's nominated automatically for Film of the Year. So with that, think about how our fans vote. What is your popcorn rating for the
I
Holdovers?
hands down I give this a large. It's not even just because it was well acted, which the guy who played Angus, Dominic Sessa, did a fantastic job. The lady who did Mary, Divine Joy Randolph, she did a wonderful job. Paul Giamatti really deserved, I think, the award out of this one. Out of, I think, Killian Murphy, I think was his name. That's how they said it in the Oscars. But we said Cillian, so who cares? But
Robert
it,
Downey Jr. won Best Supporting.
he wasn't best supporting, but Paul would have
Oh,
been up
sorry about
for
yeah,
lead.
Maine. Sorry, I'm sorry. Yep, stupid.
I listen. This movie was just hands out like what I wanted. It was just a good movie. It was story centric. It wasn't any bells and whistles. It was learn as you go. It was character development. You had overarches or arcing stories. You had the under like little pieces. You had a bit of comedy in there too. It was heartfelt at the end when Paul comes out of the office and points to the eye and says it's this one. Just like little bits like that. It was in the Academy Awards. I forgot who it was. Maybe it was like the director of Best Short who won, and he had said a comment that really stuck with me, where he says like, I understand in movie studios and in production that all movies are a risk. I understand that, but I beg for the people listening to this, instead of taking a risk on one $200 million movie, take a risk on 20 $10 million movies instead. This movie was done for 13 million, and I think this movie was way better than any of the high budget movies that we have seen this year. It it just worked. I really wish that we could see more movies like this. I think it was just good. The way that you said that it was done in Massachusetts in the middle of a February too, and just really felt like it. Man, it really did feel like it.
Hmm.
It was just something that CGI is not going to do. To really put you in there. You can almost feel the cold when it was outside a lot of that time. In the car, you know how the driver's door didn't work. Little details like that that just kind of really felt. I just enjoyed this movie, man. And there wasn't a huge cast either. It was minimal with the cast. The writer says that a lot of this movie was based on personal experiences, and that's where I think it shines through. Is that this felt like a personal story, rather than it being something, I don't know, hard sci-fi or like a Barbie i- type of movie or a historical like Oppenheimer.
Hmm.
Uh, I haven't seen American Fiction yet, but I hope that it would be kind of the same way where again it's more story driven. But yeah, listen, I actually could even see this compared because it was a Christmas movie. I could see watching it again around Christmas. This kind of almost gave you like a Christmas Carol type of vibe, right?
Oh,
Scrooge,
okay.
the
Yeah.
the loner Scrooge kind of finding his heart later on in the movie, and
Hmm.
yeah, it was just a good movie, man. Like I for everything that we had just talked about, and just how it didn't need to be in your face. It could just be through conversation, through finding out about these people as they find out about each other. Yeah, I just enjoyed it, and there was a little bit of detail in there as well too, like how the snow globe that he gave to his dad was the same snow globe that he stole from Lydia's party.
Hmm. And then, yeah,
But yeah, how these are real people.
yeah,
You know, just the assistant Lydia was the real people. Those people at the bar, those are real people. We've
yeah.
met those people before.
Yes, we have. Yeah, I mean this movie's gonna be nominated for a Movie Guys podcast movie of the year, right? Because I'm giving this one a large as well. This movie, though, I am making up a category, right? I feel I'm very famous for making up BS that doesn't make sense, but then once I explain it, people understand why I'm coming from.
Okay.
And this movie is gonna go into like that early mid 2000s category where it's really really good and generally people think it's good but nobody talks about it, right? Like what I mean by that, like it's so independent to where it's not going to be as a cult classic like an American Psycho or Fight Club would be, right? Because they have those movies have those scenes, right, that
Sure.
makes you come back. This movie's like an Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Sideways, which also this director did
I
as
was gonna
well,
say
right?
Sideways is a good
These are
comparison to this.
Sideways. There's this movie called what was it? It was about a time machine and shoot.
Hot Tub Time Machine.
No, you and I talked about it before. Primer.
Oh, sure.
Um, it's like categories. You know what I'm trying to say? Like there was also Life Aquatic as well,
That's Wes Anderson.
right?
But
There's these cluster of movies in the early and mid 2000s where generally people like, but nobody revisits, nobody goes back to,
I get
right?
it. Kind of like the kind of a quirky, almost independent.
Almost independent. Back like this movie came out in 2005, it would be advertised as an independent movie. You know what I mean? Um, this is not me saying this is not a ding to the movie. I'm actually fearful that it's going to go into that category that I made up because I don't know if I'm ever going to see this movie again. And I don't know if a lot of America is going to see this movie again. People say it's great, it's too long. There's a lot of scenes they needed to cut. It could have been an hour 45 and it would have been perfect. For 2:15, too long, I feel, for this movie,
I would
right?
agree. If it was 2 hour, maybe a little bit under 2 hour, then I think you could have had a bit more.
Right. But, I personally feel it's a great movie. Um, but then also movies that we reviewed last year that we nominated, like movie like The Whale. That movie spoke more to me than this movie did. right? For no other personal reasons, just I liked that movie more than this, right?
Well, it seemed almost like The Whale or like this movie. I think the reason why because it felt like a stage production. Like it feels like this could be like a Thornton Wilder kind of type of
You
production.
you would call me one day in the future and you will say, "Hey, wife and I are gonna go see Holdovers on Broadway." I know you will. Like, it's a great movie, great acted. Love the fact that they filmed this Massachusetts, like you said. I thought the guy that played Angus was great. I thought he was a jerk. Kind of reminded me of the guy from Saltburn who's playing Joker, right?
Yeah.
In a way, he reminded me of that guy in a way. Like, I was. This was a very adult movie, and I guess that's my last little tidbit. Is what I mean by adult is this is a very slow. This is a character-driven movie. You're not going to get action. You're not going to get drama. You're going to get drama, but you're not going to get blood and guts, and you're not going to get that.
No,
It's just going to be people talking.
you get real moments that are relatable because they probably really happened or they're not
Right.
too far off from reality. And I think that is something that you're going to think about. You're right, Jordan. You may not be quick to see this movie again. You may not go to YouTube to watch a few of the scenes, but you're going to remember parts of
Right.
this movie, whether
Yeah.
it be a lesson learned or that bonding experience, or even that one or two parts. That party when he gets his heart ripped out by Lydia because that expectation, he's
Mm-hmm.
thinking things are going good, and then
Mm-hmm.
you get that snap
That
back
happened
to
to
reality right there. That happens.
every guy listening to this. That's happened to
Yeah,
every guy.
I think every
You're
person.
lying if you're not.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean.
yeah, I see what you mean. But that and those moments are the ones
Yeah.
that are where art imitates life.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's something like that. What did Gina think of this movie?
She was bored. I mean, honestly, I mean, she was bored. She was on her phone. She wasn't on her phone. She was on her phone. She wasn't on her phone. Right now, it's very hard for me to get Gina to see movies because I showed her, which we'll talk about after the recording, but I showed her the trailer for The Crow, and she was like, "What's this?" And I was like, "This is The Crow," and she was like, "I never saw The Crow. What's The Crow?" So you know what I mean? Like Gina's at this phase right now in her life where
Mm-hmm.
she doesn't give a crap
I
about
was gonna ask, do you think that there's any sort of a gender bias in this, just because it's like an all boys school? It's kind of a fatherly or like a paternal mentorship kind of a rule or movie. But even though there is Mary, the character Mary in there too, but I don't
If
know.
there is, she didn't say anything to me. I mean, honestly, like she was like, "What do you have to watch tonight?" The Holdovers. Oh, I think I heard something about that. I'll be on my phone and look up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of how that was. But everybody, thank you so much for listening to this most recent episode of Movie Guys Podcast. You can check us out at movieguyspodcast.com or wherever you get your podcast from. We are on that platform. And like every Thursday, we'll be back for another awesome episode. Eric, thank you so much for joining me. Have a good night.
Man,
You're excited. Shut the fuck up. Come on.
no,
It
come
looks
on.
great. It looks great.
It looks bloody violent, but at the
It
same
looks
part,
great.
no. Okay, listen, we're making a reboot here. We're making a remake. The Crow is a remake, flat out, right?
100%
And
for me.
now, I have a little bit of a bias from the first one. It's in Detroit, sure. This one seems to be like in like a Germany or something like that. I don't know if it's Detroit or not,
It looks
but
like San Francisco.
at the same part, this movie also there's something. Okay, hear me out on this.
Okay.
I think this movie, the reason why I'm not sold on this is because this thing looks like it's ultra K resolution, hyper HD, blah blah blah, and very colorful, a lot of CGI. Whereas The Crow was gritty and grimy.
So you want it to be filtered. You want that screen filter. You want that grindhousey. You want that kind of thing.
A little bit, yeah.
People
Listen.
could,
I like the single cuts, or I mean the single shots. I don't like the multi cuts, especially in action. And I understand that The Crow, the first one, had its fair share, but it also had some pretty good scenes in there too.
yeah, people are comparing Skarsgård to Jared Leto's gangster Joker, saying this is
Yeah, I could see that.